I'm Jason Barclay. I'm a second generation Scientologist. I was born into Scientology.
It was your mother who got you involved in it, right?
Yeah.
How did she get involved in it?
When she was young, I don't know what the exact story is, but I think her and my dad got into it together. I think one of them read Dianetics or something, and they thought it was pretty cool, and they ended up joining one of the orgs as staff, and they had disagreements at the time, and these were, I don't know, back in the 80s or whatever, with what the church was doing. And my dad, surprisingly enough, just totally left Scientology. Well, obviously I understand why now, but at that time he didn't want anything to do with Scientology when the Golden Age of Tech came out. I don't remember what year that was, but until that time they were just kind of being staff, checking it out. And he's like, no, there's no way. LRH said that it's already written and they're changing it, and he was, and honestly, those people are the true Scientologists, the ones that just walk away, fight or walk away. And my mom, she stuck in. She didn't want to give up on the dream. She didn't want to. It was too real for her, so she stayed in, and she got sucked in very, very hardcore. And she, me and my sister, we kind of lived a poor lifestyle, even though she was making very good money.
Because she was giving it to them.
Yeah, being completely drained of every last penny. And for a while she was not even on the bridge, but she still didn't have any money because she had up to like $250,000 in debt to different people, institutions, and so on. She was there's a saying that if you come to Flag without money, don't worry, they'll help you borrow.
Flag for me is just perfection, perfection, perfection.
Hello, and welcome to Flag. I'm Debbie Cook, captain of the Flag Service Organization.
It's totally true. And if you know anyone, if you're friends with anyone that has money, you will get it from them. So as you kind of go up the level, as far as, I hear from OTs, you don't have friends anymore. And I used to joke with
Because
my
they're
mom.
tired of being hit on for cash?
Yeah, it's just that's it. It's like friends are too expensive at that point. And I used to joke with my mom, if a recruiter comes to ask money from you, tell him, I would ask to borrow money from one of my friends, but I don't have any more. Hey, do you want to be my friend?
Borrow it from them then.
Yeah, but that's generally like how they...
So from her point of view, they were pressuring her to say, give up your college fund money because it's the greatest. It's the greatest. It's the greatest good to give that money to the church than to have you get a college education or your family benefit in any way.
Completely. They called it WOG education, which means non-Scientologist.
Right.
And all that data is
worthless, bogus data. So then, how did you end up getting into the Sea Org?
I got into the Sea Org. I signed up first when I was 13 years old. I went with my mom on a trip to Flag. And I was swimming around the pool, jumping between pool and jacuzzi with my sister, and some recruiters, came up to me and they're like, we want you to help save the world. And I was like, okay. Fresh, young.
Naive.
Sure, sounds good. They even promised I'd be able to teach martial art classes, which I was really happy about as a 13-year-old. And, they're like...
So they knew what you liked and they made promises that were targeted for you.
Completely. Like, it's just, they'll, there's no limit to the amount of false promises they'll make. No limit.
And when you got in, no...
Well, what's funny is just before that, they're like, no, we can't have you just join right away because we need to, make sure it's okay with your mom. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So they bring my mom into a room with us, and they're like, so it's okay with your son joining the Sea Org, right? And it's like, she's on the level, she's on OT7. She says no, she's getting declared, that's it. She won't be able to talk with me anyway. You know, if I don't think if you're 13 you would really do that, but yeah. So that was how I got in, and
So wait, she didn't want you in.
no.
But so they were going to declare her right there for saying.
Yeah,
saying
if she said no in that meeting, they would have declared her.
I see. She would have been excommunicated instantly for not giving up her child.
They would have tried to. They would have fought to still get me in the Sea Org anyway. It's like, well, since your mother's, but then they have legal issues of not having author. I don't know. It would have been messy. Yeah, very messy. So the amount of intention that they had in talking to her then had all that in mind. So she said yes.
And you were 13.
13.
Did you then what happened to you?
At that time, I went into the EPF, and I was on the
Estates Project course. That's the training.
And I wasn't abused as a kid, but I was promised that if I was really good, I could see my family in California. I was in Florida for 3 weeks, a year.
Well, that's going to be hard if you only get 4 days off in 365.
Yeah, but I was happy that I could live with 3 weeks. That time came, and they said, there's a policy of time and it didn't apply, to save you a long story. And I said, wait, so you're going back on your word to a 13-year-old. You're only going to give me 1 week. They're in California. I lose 2 days traveling. So at that point, I called my mom, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was 13. I said, Mom, withdraw your permission for me to be in the Sea Org. Click. All right, 3 days later, I had a plane home. But they were really shady in what happened next. Where in the Sea Org, there's a policy that before you leave, you have to pass a meter check to make sure you're not like some evil person, or that you're not, you didn't do actual damage to the church. And I didn't know any of this. All I knew is a week in the past, I told my mom to withdraw her permission. I didn't know if that was going to get her cleared. I didn't know anything. I just know how to get out.
Because you wanted to see your family.
Right. You're 13. And suddenly they say, okay, your plane is in 3 hours. Pack. But before you do that, you have to pass a meter check. If you don't pass, you can't get on the plane. Right? And I called my mom. I was like, hey Mom, so I'm packing, and she was like really happy.
It's okay.
It now. Because back in those times, there was never a set time where I could call my family. So I'd make random calls, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, once a month, whenever I could. Just and they didn't know what I was going to call. So they wouldn't go out. They wouldn't go to movies, nothing. They would stay home all month long.
Hoping to be there when you called.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I didn't think I had so much emotion on that.
How can you not?
Yeah. So and I told my mom, but there's a catch. If I don't pass a meter check, I can't come home. And my mom was like, it's a non-refundable flight. If they won't let you take that flight, I can't pay for another one. And I knew that if I was there for just a week longer, they would handle me. I knew that. So I was scared. And going into a meter check scared, it's not a good idea. The meter's gonna show it, but they're gonna interpret that as a crime. So I was scared, but I lucked out. Big time. At that time, I had a major crush on one girl around my age at the same time. And she happened to be the person doing the meter check.
Wow.
I was so lucky. So when I forget what she asked me, and I said no, and a floating needle. That floating needle wasn't to the question. That was like, I like you. So I lucked out. If she wasn't the person that meter checked me, they would have held me back against my will.
So then you were able to leave?
Yeah. I passed. I was able to leave. And
so you got back to California?
Yeah.
But then you entered the Sea Org again years later? Yeah, I don't
I
understand.
didn't learn my lesson.
I was going to say, if it was so bad the first time.
It was the only thing that I left for was I couldn't see my family, and I missed my family. I didn't know about any of the internet stuff or
I see.
The floating needle alterations or any of that yet. So when I joined the second time, I thought I was doing the only thing that could save the world.
And this time you were in California, so you could see them, you thought?
In theory, yeah.
So that was like 2.5 years ago?
Yeah.
And then you were stationed here in LA, right?
Yeah.
And what when you rejoined, you didn't have to do a States Project Force again? Did you just go on to
Oh no, I had to do a States Project Force again.
So
and
then
during the time, I had my BlackBerry stolen from me by my senior senior, which was great. Yeah, because when you join, you can't have cell phones, and I just had a fresh contract with Sprint, which they made me cancel to give me another $300 fee in my name for joining the Sea Org, which was great. When you join, they say they're going to help you handle all of your debts, not incur them. So I had a nice, fresh BlackBerry tour. I love that phone. But when you join, you can't have phones.
right.
And so I do the States Project Force. I finish. I'm like, "Where's my phone?" It's a $300 phone. And they're like, "What? What phone? Who?" Just playing dumb. And 2 weeks later, my senior has a fresh BlackBerry tour box, and she's asking me if she can, because I still had my charger for the phone, and she's asking me if she can use it.
Do you think she was using your phone? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't check the
serial number,
but it was just incredible to me.
And then she just tries to take the charger too.
Yeah, but I think she thought that would have been too much, so I could keep the charger.
To charge what with? Your e-meter?
My failing heart.